Hi, our guest today is Stacey McKay, and I met Stacey in a networking group, and we just really clicked. And then when I got to know you better, know her better, I found out what a really cool, amazing person she is. So, first of all, Stacey is married to her high school sweetheart, which is great to be able to say after 35 years, right? Stacey is married with 4 kids, 2 granddaughters, and Stacey, you're the owner of a real estate broker company. It's called Stacey McKay and Company. Right. And you've been in real estate for over 33 years. You have a lot of experience. You've actually sold over 250 homes. That's amazing by itself. The thing that's really interesting is that Stacey is a trained conflict coach and mediator, as well as a certified instructor for relational wisdom beyond emotional intelligence. So I am actually going to start with my own personal story, if that's okay.
I would love it.
So Stacey and I, pretty new in our relationship, and I got together with her, and I was sharing how a friend of mine and I hadn't spoken for over 5 years, and that I was just a couple days away from going up to see this person, and I had some real concerns because of the conflict, and how fast was it going to be before I could mess this up again? Things started healing with our relationship, and you gave me some very practical ideas, and I went into this relationship very unafraid because you gave me tools to be prepared. And that's when I realized we've got to have you on the show. We've got to talk about this because relational wisdom is so important. Can we start with what the definition of relational wisdom is?
Absolutely. And I'm just going to read it so I don't miss any words so that you get the full meaning. So relational wisdom is the ability to discern emotions and interest in yourself and others, and to interpret them in the light of your own personal values, and then to use those insights to manage your responses and your relationships constructively.
Okay.
So that's really just in a nutshell what relational is. It goes a lot deeper than that, though.
So
obviously.
it's not just knowing about, it's not just reading books and knowing what about relationships, because you can read men are from Mars and women are from Venus, but if you don't apply it, it really doesn't matter, right? And that's what this is doing, is applying the things that you learn.
Absolutely. See, emotional intelligence, a lot of people don't really understand what emotional intelligence is or what it's about. We all know that we are born with an IQ or an intellectual quotient, but on the flip side, we all have emotional intelligence. Some people have stronger and greater emotional intelligence because they have learned to harness soft skills and to apply soft skills. So a soft skill would be something as simple as just being able to have conversation with somebody.
Right.
To have understanding, to have empathy, to have a giving spirit, to be thankful, grateful. Those are all soft skills.
Okay.
You can have somebody that can be extremely intelligent, have a high IQ, and have just what you would call mad hard skills.
Right.
They have a Harvard degree. They excel in their field in terms
super
of
genius IQ.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Knowledge.
Right.
That's a hard skill. It's your resume. However, you can have some of those same people that lack in the soft skills, or what we call emotional intelligence. Can
I say that we know people, of course, we all do, who you go, okay, that guy is super smart, but they have no common sense, or they have they're socially awkward.
Right.
They're not in tune. So that's the soft skill.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
They're not in tune to other people, and how they're feeling and what they're saying or they're doing is affecting other people. Okay. Ken Sande, who actually wrote Relational Wisdom and has trained all of us that are certified instructors, talked about one of his worst hires that he ever had was actually somebody that had the best resume. I mean, if you looked at this resume, you're like, I have to have this person.
Mad hard skills.
But when they came into the workplace, they could not get along with people. They caused dissension within the teams, various things like that. That very quickly you see they're not really what all they're cut up to be. So
it's not going to work just because you've got the knowledge. If you can't apply it to people and make a difference and move the team forward, it doesn't matter what your resume says, right?
Absolutely. So what I love about, I'll talk a little bit about Ken Sande. So Ken Sande, for over 30 years, was the founder and executive director of Peacemakers Ministry.
Okay.
Peacemakers Ministry not only worked with attorneys throughout the United States that learned how to conflict coach, how to mediate, how to conciliate, but it also went into what you would call lay leadership. Went into other people that had a harder passion to help people through conflict. And that's how I got involved with the ministry back in 2003.
Oh, it's that old.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, it's longer than that, over 30 years. But in 2003, my husband and I went through a business mediation under the Peacemakers Ministry. And we came out of the backside of that realizing we really had a lot of our issues were more personal based than it was about the business.
Wow.
And we came through that. That was at the 18-year mark of our marriage. And we came out of that with our marriage being restored, essentially.
Oh my gosh, you went in for your business to be restored and God
really
worked in.
saw that we had issues in our marriage that were all stemming from working together.
Sure, right.
That helps to pull the scab off the wound. But through that process, I really got a heartbeat and passion for the peacemaking and ended up being trained to be a conflict coach and to mediate and worked with other marriages, worked in business situations, doing some of that in conjunction with what I do in the real estate arena and my school, which I have a licensed real estate school where I train not just realtors, but also business people. So I was able to begin to apply those skills. But Ken left about 6 years ago, Peacemakers Ministry, after the 30 years, and realized that if you apply emotional intelligence, but more so with relational wisdom in your relationships, you wouldn't get into these conflicts to start. And how many of us said, wow, if we had had this when my kids were young, before I got into that 18-year marriage where we were really at each other. Yeah. So I am really...
Preach. I hear, I can so relate, yes.
So I'm really impassioned to bring relational wisdom, not just to the business workplace, to families, to churches, to not-for-profits, because if people learn these skills and they're able to take them into all of their areas of relationship, it will only help them to grow and to not get in those conflicts.
Absolutely. I mean, I can relate with Dave Ramsey. When my husband and I took Dave Ramsey, we thought we were going to learn how to manage money. And of course we did, but it taught me how to be a better mom, a better sibling, a better spouse and better friend. Absolutely. So these things are there's not just hard walls around them. It's like, I've often heard the phrase that people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses. And if people, so especially in leadership, would consider taking something like what you're offering. Yes. When people are working for you, you're not just beating them up at work. You're beating their family up because they're taking that home.
Oh, so true. So true. You just gave me chills when you talked about that, because so many times you have business owners that think, oh, my employees need this. This would be really good. And I agree 100%. Right. Everyone in the organization needs to have these skills, because if we all have the skills, then we're taking that to our customers. I've had the last 12 years where I've worked very rooted into the property management arena, and we're dealing with tenants, we're dealing with owners, we're dealing with vendors, and those people bring stress. Really, property management is really people management. You're really not managing the asset. You're managing the emotions of the people that rent your home, the owners that you work for, and then the vendors that have to go in and fix these homes when there's a problem. So by learning the relational wisdom skills from the staffing level all the way up to the CEO of the company, and everyone begins to apply those in the business setting, and then the impact is that they take it home. Is if they go, wow, I learned this skill and it really worked with me today with my tenant. What if I applied that skill with my wife? Right. Or with my husband? Right. Or my child? And that's where my mission really is teach it from the business setting all the way down to the household or vice versa.
Would you say that most of the conflicts we have, and I know it's really hard to just generalize, but is it a head issue? Is it a heart issue? Is it selfishness? What is the main crux of conflict?
It's really idols. When we put something in place, and that now becomes, we want everybody to bow to our idol. And when somebody does not bow to our idol, then conflict ensues. Okay. And that's actually, I'll just pick this up for a second, because that's the book, The Peacemaker, which really talks so much about where conflict comes from, and idols are really where it's at, which really, it's really a hard issue. It's idolatry. And when, and I'll give an example. a husband says, I have this great idea. I want to have this business and we're going to do this and it's going to make all this money. But he begins to sacrifice his wife and his children on the altar for that business. You have now just created an idol, an idolatry situation. Right. And so, yes, it's in the head, but ultimately it's a hard issue. When we are in conflict, and where relational wisdom comes in to still speak to those conflict issues, is that there's 3 areas we look at: ourself, the other person, and where our values set in. So if I'm saying on one hand, my value is to love and cherish and take care of my family, but my actions, when I work 15-hour days and I don't see my family till on the weekend and I'm so wore out that I cannot really give them the love and the attention that they need, then my values are not really meeting up with what's playing out in that relationship. So we learn to look at, what am I feeling? Why am I thinking this way? Why is this impacting the relationship? But then to also flip the coin and say, how's that affecting the other person? How do you think they felt? How do you think what I just said impacted them? And then lining that up with your values. Live out what you say you're about.
Okay, that's big what you just said. So I guess if you're going to sign up for this session, the one thing maybe is that you've got to be open to hearing truth spoken about you, and that the finger you've been pointing to your spouse or to your employee might be turned around to you first.
I always say 3 are pointing back. If you point one finger, 3 is coming back at you.
Yeah.
So absolutely. And what I love about relational wisdom, as in our course and the training, is it is not meant to bring judgment. It's meant to bring training. A lot of times people say they just don't know. We can teach this as low as 12-year-olds. We tailor the core principles are still taught, but we tailor videos, modern day movie clips that we use for that particular audience, for that corporate audience, for a retreat. I'm doing a retreat in February for a corporate setting that's all women.
Right.
And so
you're not going to use clips from the notebook or anything like that.
So we're going to we'll use various clips that will help to show good uses of relational wisdom and not so good uses.
Right.
Now, sometimes I have grown men literally get grieved when they see a clip and they now realize my kids are grown and this is maybe why there is dissension in our relationship, because I didn't speak kindly like Russell Crowe did in Cinderella Man to his son when he was upset with him, that I raged on my child. So sometimes will regret come, will conviction come? Yes, but we're there to walk through that process and to help people.
There's not a lot we can do about the past, but we can sure move forward and maybe try to fix. Correct. And at least be better with relationships going forward.
Take those skills and begin to apply them. And just think of the dynamics when everybody in a family relationship has that opportunity to learn this information and then begin to apply it within that family setting. And then, like I said, take it out to the world or vice versa. Learn it in a business setting and say, you know what? I would love it if my wife or my husband could learn this material, and then they can come to, really our workshop's about 6 hours. I can do lunch and learns for an hour if I'm bringing this to a business setting, just to give people the basic skills. And the best thing is they have an online course. So if you cannot make it to a workshop, you can sign up online and you can take the 8-week course.
There's so many ways to do it. And I have tears in my eyes because when I think about the healing that happened with my friend, I mean, it was happened just a couple days really before Christmas. And it was, after 5 years of not speaking, you may have already put up a wall and said, you know what, I'm better off without them. I'm better off without the drama. They're better off without me. They make me feel this way. Yes. But you know what? Honestly, the best thing would be to prayerfully get through that and to break down those walls.
Absolutely.
And that's the greatest thing. Yes. So if there's walls up and you're not talking, it might be just a protection to keep from dealing with it.
This is true. And we need people that encourage us as well. I know when John and I were having our marriage issues, 2 weeks after our mediation, where we really felt like, wow, we really saw some healing in our relationship and we were moving forward, something got revealed to me that had that been revealed to me prior to our mediation, where my heart had softened, I would have said, I'm done with this marriage. But instead, I called my best friend. She's my business partner. She's also a certified Relational Wisdom instructor, Teresa. And this now has been almost 17 years ago. And I called her, and I was so upset. And she knew what God had just did through the work of this mediation. And she said, the enemy is not taking your marriage. And I had to realize that there are sometimes forces outside of us that are trying to take these relationships away from us. And that was when we really forgave and we really healed. And 3 months to the day of that mediation, I found out I was pregnant with my son, Joshua.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. And what a gift he's been.
Yes,
I know a lot about Joshua. I've never met him.
Yes, he is my last child still at home. He's a sophomore in high school. And I was done having kids. All my other 3 children, daughters, they're all grown. They're all in their 20s. One's about to turn 30 in April. And every day when I look at Joshua, I think, what if I had not forgiven? He wouldn't be here.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so knowing that sometimes that decision to forgive or not forgive, to restore or just cut off that relationship could be cutting off the greatest blessing that you could have in your life.
The way you said that is so powerful. And I do want to stress that, it can be a faith-based session or not faith-based, right? Don't feel like, we have a different culture or we want to make sure that we separate, religion from, you're able to provide that, right?
Absolutely. We have 2 completely different courses that we teach. One is a value-based, which means it is value-based. It's a very good setting for any kind of business, any kind of place where you really are not wanting to mix that lines of faith. Yeah. And then we have the faith-based curriculum.
For churches?
For churches, Christian schools, organizations that are open to have faith introduced. Okay. And I'm very cognizant of the group that I'm speaking to as to which curriculum I'm going to use, which video clips I'm going to use, and what direction we want to go in terms of what the mission is, if we're wanting to just talk about values or if we are able to introduce faith.
Okay, so this is probably like a couple $1,000s to go through?
No. So basically,
I honestly don't know the price. I had to just guess.
Yes, hey,
you might have said, well, it's actually $5,000 or $6,000. I would have been in trouble.
I'm glad she thinks that's the value. The course runs about $50 for an individual, and that includes the workbook. And for a couple, $80. And if you attend a live session, then you're eligible to have the online course to do a follow-up. Or, like I said, if somebody cannot make it to a live training, they can as well just take the online course, $50. And you have all the resources. You have an app that you can download to your phone. You have hundreds and hundreds of blogs that will provide the ongoing training in this arena. And there is so much information that you can continue to learn. It's not like you just sit in this workshop, okay, great, I learned that. You're able to go on and have these ongoing resources to look into, blogs, various things like that.
So I know a lot of times churches are looking for women speakers. Do you have something that you can provide to a church as a speaker for just like an hour session as a women's tea? What can you do?
Absolutely. So in a business setting, a lot of times it's lunch and learns or coming in for an early breakfast meeting. For women's groups, churches, we can do as little as a 1 hour session all the way up to the full day training, which is the $50, typically per person. Or for groups, I'll do specialty pricing depending on the number of people, what the attendance is, and what the group is looking to have.
I would have to say, what do you have to lose? I mean, assuming that you're not in conflict with someone, let's say best case scenario, you think that everything is going well. What could be going well that could be even better? For $50, could you improve relationships? Could you learn more about yourself?
Absolutely. Yeah. And really the basis of this, you'll have training to help you in conflict, but it really isn't about that at all. It is really getting those skills to understand self, others, and your values and or how your faith impacts how you live out life.
Mad soft skills.
Mad soft skills. That is it.
Stacey, give me some information how we can contact you.
Okay. You can check us out at www.staceymckay.com. So again, www.staceymckay.com. All my contact information will be there. You can fill out for additional information, or just give me a call if you have a group or some place that you would like to have me come speak or teach, and I would love to talk to you about that.
And just verify, it's Stacey, Stacey, McKay, McKay.com.
Right. And I'll go ahead and give you the phone number just in case you missed that web address. It's 407-300-7676.
Stacey, thank you so much for being here. I have a feeling this isn't the last time we're going to talk.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacey.
so much.
Have a great day.